policy, right? And I got deference with all the bros, but I have a big issue. I will never disrespect you, and I don't expect you to disrespect me. If you're talking, I will not be talking. So when I'm talking, I don't expect you to talk. I'm not trying to be rude or a tough guy, but that's just how I am when it comes to the brothers. If you're talking, I give you the floor, let you do your thing. If I'm talking, I'm asking you to reciprocate the same respect, right? So now we got that out the way, brothers. Again, happy Founders Day. Happy Founders Day. Now, brothers, it's a privilege and it's a pleasure to be with you this evening. And I don't take it for granted that I have the opportunity to fellowship with my friends. So, Brother Bossless, I thank you and the brothers from U Omega and E Pi for this invitation. Now, brothers, we celebrate Founders Day with our brothers, filled with gratitude for blessings received in the past and with much optimism for wonderful possibilities ahead. But as I pondered on the 2023 Achievement Week theme, Omega Men promoting a harmonious future through friendship and service, I'll be honest, I was asking myself, so what does that mean? So I would like to share 4 truncated points with you this evening through a series of questions based on my experience as your district representative. My first point is going to be, can harmony exist between strangers? The second is, how do you promote friendship and service? My third point will be a story of reflection, and then we have the charge. So my first point, brothers, I struggle with this theme, Omega Men promoting a harmonious future through friendship and service, and it's just based on my observation of brothers not living their creed. So I often think about why founders chose the 4 cardinal principles: manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift. Now, in my opinion, friendship is the catalyst for service. For Omega Men to serve and have an impact, they must accept and embrace the responsibility that comes with manhood. And part of that responsibility is being aware of your limitations as well as your capabilities, and acquire the tools that you need to develop your skill set through scholarship. Now, once you acquire the knowledge and confidence, you must have the resilience to continue to persevere, because it will enable you to put the interests of others before yourself. Because there's no statute of limitations or uplift or service. But the thing that troubles me is, how can an organization of highly educated men who are some of the brightest minds in America promote harmonious future through friendship and service if they are not friendly toward each other? There appears to be a nationwide assault on our motto. So as we celebrate the 112th anniversary of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, I ask you, can our beloved Omega exist with the absence of friendship? So brothers, I ask you again, in 2023, is friendship still essential to the soul? Is that the motto that every man of Omega believes in? Or is there something else at hand that gives brothers reasons not to acknowledge our motto or our watchword? Now, the purpose of the fraternity is to bring about a union of college men of similar high ideals of scholarship and manhood, not to create a division based on selfish and self-centered ideology that contradicts the Constitution and bylaws. And as is stated in Chapter 1, Article 1, Section 6, the brothers are the duly authorized membership of the fraternity, for whom the fraternity and its organizational entities exist to support and nurture friendship and brotherly love. I just want to repeat this last part. To support and nurture friendship and brotherly love. Now, the Omega has changed over the years, some good and some not so good. It has become a new custom to emasculate an individual at the time of engagement as a prerequisite to establish a friendship. Now, no offense to the brothers in the 90s, but in the 90s, a phrase was coined in the 2nd District that fear must be maintained at all times. Now, why do I have to fear my friends? We talk about brotherhood, except it's nothing but an illusion. Living in fear of wearing paraphernalia and traveling for the fear of being assaulted is not promoting a harmonious future through friendship and service. Brothers adopting gang-like culture and fighting and shooting each other is not protecting life or friendship. This type of behavior contradicts our 4 cardinal principles. Now, how can you tear a brother down when our implied motto is lifting as we climb? The reason for this reckless behavior in some brothers, they're not clear on what Omega standards are, which results in poor candidate selection, damage to the brand, and it makes Omega standards not worthy of emulation. Therefore, it prevents Omega men from making a difference in the world through friendship and service. Now, brothers, Omega cannot use any more lame excuses and weak reasons for being less manly, deficient in our duties, and derelict in our responsibilities, and indecent in how we project ourselves to the world and how we treat each other. And I ask you, are you guilty of any of these actions that I mentioned? The friendship of Omega is supposed to link brothers of different backgrounds together, not divide them by age, where you pledge, or the district you reside. Now, this is one of my favorite books, and I love this quote by Benjamin Mays in his book, Disturbed by Man. And I quote, I am disturbed, I am uneasy about man because we have no guarantee that when we train a man's mind, we will train his heart. And there's no guarantee that when we increase a man's knowledge, we increase his goodness, because there's no correlation between knowledge and goodness. So with that being said, it leads me to my point 2. How to promote friendship and service. Now, the first thing I believe we must do is perform a self-assessment of our commitment to Omega. Are we doing everything we can to protect and move the fraternity forward on a foundation of friendship? Now, to understand why the founders chose friendship as essential to the soul, we look at the word friend. Now, today, most brothers are aware of this book, What is Worthwhile. And for the brothers who are not familiar with the book, it was written by Anna Robertson Brown Lindsay in the 1800s, and the attributes of the word friend, as stated in our lecture of friendship, comes from this book. And I believe some brothers have lost sight of the responsibility that comes with being a friend, considering it's supposed to be one of the sweetest gifts that life can bring besides, y'all know the rest. Now, brothers, we must continue to educate ourselves on the way of life as Omega Man, because it is a chosen way of life. Not forgetting to have a solemn and tender education of the soul from day to day helps you communicate with the friend and grow in friendship. Now, the key is communication, because communication is essential to the life of a friendship. And friendship is protected by patience and love. So never underestimate the time that might be required, because friendship is just as complex as love. They both require commitment, but it's worth the effort. So because you'll never find a friend without faults, imperfection, traits, ways that vex you and annoy you, yet we cannot give up on friendship, because it's the one thing that binds every brother in this room. So we must become self-possessed in friendship, and let us pray that neither life nor death, misunderstanding, distance, nor doubt never come between us to vex our peace. Now, brothers, I want you at this time to think of one word that describes the feeling that you've had when you found out you made line. Now I want you to think of one word that described the feeling when you were initiated into this great fraternity. And I also want you to think of one word that describes how you feel about Omega today. So, brothers, I want to take, and this is the story of reflection, so I want to take a few moments out of your time to talk about, and I want you brothers to be patient with me, about my college sweetheart, because she changed my life. So, brothers, let me ask you this question. I know brothers are here married and everything, and I'm married, but have you ever saw a woman and was in awe by her presence?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I want to talk to you about this woman I met in college. Some of you have met her at one time or another. Her name was Ophelia. When I first met her, it was 37 years ago, and I was mesmerized by how she walked across campus. She had this very distinguished aura about herself. You could not miss her because she always wore purple and gold. It was like a reflection of her beauty and her grace. And she wore that purple to let everyone know she came from a lineage of royalty. Now, for 1 year, I watched her from afar, but yet close enough for her to notice me. One day, I finally got the nerve to introduce myself to her in the student union building, but I was so nervous that I couldn't even articulate my thoughts. But to my surprise, she noticed that I was nervous. She told me to relax and asked me where was I from, what was my major. We talked briefly, and then she had to go to class. But before she left, she said it was nice talking to you, and I'll see you around. So I went to the Student Union building every week, hoping for the opportunity to see her so we can talk in private. And this went on for months, and one day I approached her, and she was with a friend, and she said, "You've been coming around here a lot faithfully to talk to me. Is there something that you want?" Suddenly my reply was, "I'm really interested in getting to know you better." She smiled, she said that would be nice. Then I had this elementary school moment when you ask a girl what is she looking for in a boyfriend. So I asked her, what qualities do you look for in a man? She had 4 requirements, and her first requirement was manhood. She said a brother had to be confident in himself and be responsible. Her second requirement was she likes a brother who is well-read and has a yearning for scholarship. Her third requirement was she doesn't want this fly-by-night brother. She was looking for a brother that will plant his feet, take a brace, and when life get tough, he'll persevere to the end, like that ride-or-die type dude. And her fourth requirement was she wanted a brother who will deny himself to uplift someone and make an impact in his community. Now, in my mind, I was saying like, wow, that's it? Shoot, I got this. So brothers, we started dating. Everything was going well. I was with her every day, before class, after class, on the weekends. And she had a fond love for poetry. So she shared her favorite poem with me, and we started saying it in unison. And her favorite poem was "If." And her favorite line was, "If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, and if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two the same." Now, she also loved to dance, so she taught me these unique dance moves that look like African dance combined with military cadence. Then things started to change, and I became filled with mixed emotions for months. Some days I was filled with crazy enthusiasm, and some days I was frustrated and tired. Sometimes I even asked myself if she was worth all of this work because she always seemed distant for some reason. But I was open and in too deep, so I continued to show her I was worthy of her love and her admiration. Now, she called me one day, and she said she had a surprise for me. She picked me up and told me to keep my eyes closed until she instructed me to open them. When she asked me to open my eyes, to my surprise, she asked if I would make a lifetime commitment to her, and I said yes. And brothers, that was one of the happiest days of my life. We started a beautiful life together. I was filled with joy and excitement. She opened up and started sharing some of her innermost secrets with me. You couldn't even separate us. The passion was so hot at one time when she touched me. When she touched me, I felt my flesh burning. She left a mark on me to let everybody know who I belonged to. We traveled everywhere. She came from a big family whose origin started in Washington, D.C. We traveled across the country, and everywhere we went, we met somebody in her family. So I wanted to have a family of my own, build a legacy. So I expressed to her my desire to grow our family, and without any hesitation, she agreed. She gave birth to my son sometime once or twice a year. She accommodated all my requests. She did everything I asked of her. The family was growing, my responsibility increased, but then I realized that life was not a crystal stair. I became disconnected to someone who was a part of my daily living. Something else caught my eye. I stopped supporting her financially because I wasn't attracted to her anymore. It seemed like things changed. But in my absence, my son started behaving in ways that were not consistent with our family beliefs and values. My sons became disrespectful to women, combative. They developed this character of toxic masculinity where they were confusing humility for weakness. Some of them even dropped out of school. Then I remember a Philly saying to me, if a man's presence doesn't have an impact, then his absence will not make a difference. So my brothers, if you ever met a Philly, please rededicate yourself to her. She has never neglected, embarrassed. She has been neglected, embarrassed, and sometimes abused. She always loved us. She never gave up on us. She helped me realize what is essential to life. And now I understand the definition of love, which was unconditional friendship. So if you love her, don't tell her, show her. Your actions speak louder than words. And while you show her, lift up your voice and sing to her, "Dear Omega girl, I love you. With the love that is divine, swear by all the stars above you that my love will be but thine. When the moon appears, those pleasant memories, then I have you near, but not for really. Dear Omega girl, I love you, sweetheart of Omega dear." So my brothers, don't take it lightly that your chapter may have reignited the love of a brother through reclamation back to Omega. And don't stop extending that hand of friendship when the brother says no. Just work on that one brother, like Brother Reclamation Chair, Brother Dent said earlier. So brothers, in closing, as we get towards the future together, we shall unite amongst diversity to bridge traditions and innovations. Let us continue to support and grow the Omega Psi Phi fraternity in our shared task for nation and community building, and ensure that all of our reclamation and retention efforts will be made sustainable and inclusive. So my brothers, in order for us to continue this legacy of friendship and service for the next 112 years, I would encourage you, and brothers, please listen to this, I would encourage you to be slow and cautious about giving people keys to the house in which we dwell. Everybody does not deserve to have a key. And if you decide to give someone the key, make sure that house is tidy and in order so we can tell when someone is trying to bring trash in our house. Omega is the family we chose and the community that we created. So let's take care of it. Now, brothers, my commentary is not meant to air out our dirty laundry, but to challenge the brothers to look at themselves and decide if you're going to be the brother that you want to see. So we must reevaluate, pivot, reinvent, and re-strategize how we can promote a harmonious future through friendship and service. It will not always be easy, but we will see it through. So with guidance and grace of the Almighty and enduring spirit of leadership, friendship, and service, I'm confident that we will achieve a strong and brighter future for our beloved Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Thank you for your attention. God bless you guys.